Okay, so ready for a deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going deep, really deep, into something I think a lot of us will connect with. Especially, if you're the kind of person who feels things, well, deeply.
Hmm.
We're looking at excerpts from A Gentle Reminder by Bianca Sparacino. It's this book that dives into love and loss and the whole process of healing and even like the bravery it takes to be ourselves out in the world.
And what we really want to do today, you see, is pull out those pieces from the book, those little bits of wisdom that'll really stick with you.
Exactly. I mean, even just flipping through, there are so many lines that jump out. For example, I love this one. The right person will know how to hold your love. You will not have to beg for the love you deserve. One day, you will be met where you are. Just, wow.
Powerful, right? And that feeling of just like clicking with someone where it's not this constant struggle to be accepted. I mean, that's what we all want, right?
Absolutely. And that feels like a really good place to start,
Yeah.
this idea of finding the right connection. So let's unpack that a bit. What else does the book have to say about it?
Well, one thing that comes up a lot is this idea of balance, like a real sense of equality. There's this line, the right person will choose you just as deeply as you choose them.
Yeah, like it's a two-way street.
Right. Think about, maybe you've been in a situation where you felt like you were putting in so much more effort than the other person.
Oh, yeah, definitely been there.
And this idea, it really challenges that. It's like the right connection, it's a mutual thing. Both people are all in.
Totally. And speaking of being all in, there's another part where it says, you won't need to quiet the way you care. You won't ever have to feel like you are too much. That always hits me hard.
It's so freeing, right?
It is. It's like, how often have we dimmed our own light, or held back our feelings just to try and fit into what someone else wanted? This is like permission to be your full self.
Exactly. And that kind of goes hand in hand with this idea of not having to fight for someone who isn't fighting for you.
Well, that's huge. I mean, how exhausting is it to be in a relationship where you feel like you're the only one putting in the work?
It really drains you. And this reminder, it's like a wake-up call, to look at where you're putting your energy and if it's actually being reciprocated.
So true. It almost makes you wonder, like, is that energy better spent elsewhere? Somewhere it'll actually be valued.
Definitely. And then there's this line that just gives me chills every time I read it. The right people were always going to find you. The right people were always going to stay. It's so reassuring.
It is. Because instead of, like, frantically searching for connection, it's suggesting that the real, genuine ones, they have a way of finding you.
Yeah, like they're drawn to you. And the stay part, I mean, that's important too, right? It's not just about finding people, it's about those connections that actually last.
So much of this book is about relationships in all their forms. And actually, I really like how it talks about the importance of checking in. That's something we can all benefit from, no matter what our relationships look like.
Absolutely. And, it starts by reminding us that everyone has their limits. It says, even the strongest souls get exhausted. Like, even those people who seem to always have it together, they need support too.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that, right? We see someone who's always there for others, always so positive and strong, and we assume they don't need anything from us.
We think they're invincible or something.
Right. But the book, it really challenges that, especially when it talks about kind and tender friends, those people who are always giving so much. It's like a gentle reminder to check in on them, too.
Because they need that love and support in return.
Exactly. And I love how it talks about, the brave, soft souls who protect others at all costs. It's such a vivid image.
Yeah, those people who always put others first.
Right. And he says those souls need protecting, too. Like sometimes the people who are strongest for others are the ones who need the most care themselves.
Because, let's face it, they deserve it. As the book says, they deserve the love they keep giving to everyone else.
It's a beautiful reminder. It's not just about taking, it's about giving back to those who give so much to you.
And one more thing on relationships, because this is something that really resonated with me, the necessity of letting go. And the book doesn't sugarcoat it, it says you have to let go. Because when you hold on, you are allowing for your past to take up the space in your heart and in your mind that is meant for your future.
Ooh, that's deep.
Isn't it? It's like, think about that for a second. All that energy we spend holding on to what was or what we wish could have been, it's actually preventing us from moving forward.
It's blocking us from new experiences.
Exactly. And the book makes it so clear, it says holding on to the past, it takes up space in your heart and mind, meant for new joy and love. Like literally, how can you let new things in if you're still clinging to the old?
Right. It's like having a closet so full of clothes you never wear that you can't even see what you actually have anymore.
Perfect analogy. And the book, it acknowledges how hard it is to let go, especially when things end that were once good. It says, accept that sometimes beautiful things end, that sometimes people leave, that sometimes two human beings don't beat the odds, and you have to find closure in that. You have to heal.
Ugh, yeah, that's the tough part. But it's true. Sometimes things just run their course.
And finding a way to be okay with that, that's where the healing starts. But there's still so much hope in this book. Like, even when it's talking about endings, it also talks about the future. It says to believe in the version of you that is laughing in bed on a Sunday morning with the person they love 20 years from now, because you deserve that future. It is waiting for you. Choose it.
It's like shifting your focus from what was to what could be.
And choosing to believe that good things are still out there.
Speaking of choosing, there's a whole section on embracing your own timing, which I think is so relevant today, especially with like all the pressure to have everything figured out by a certain age.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like everyone's on this fast track. But the book, it's like this breath of fresh air. It just says, it is okay to take your time.
Right. You're not behind just because you're not hitting certain milestones by a certain time.
And it really emphasizes this idea of not forcing things. It reminds us that you are in no rush to figure out your own soul. It's never too late to start over. It's never too late to change your mind. It's never too late to redirect yourself, to replace the dreams you thought you wanted for the ones that genuinely excite and challenge you.
I mean, think about it. How many times have you felt pressure to follow a certain path, even if it wasn't what you truly wanted?
All the time, right? But this is like a permission slip to change your mind, to go after what really lights you up.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just ourselves. It talks about how your unique talents and ideas are needed in the world. Like the world needs your uniqueness. It needs your talent, your art, your mind. Take up space within that so you can change it with the vision that you have.
It's empowering. It's telling you that you have something special to offer.
And that you should share it.
Yes, and not let anything hold you back. The book even encourages you to leap towards all that scares and ignites you. Just try for something while you're here.
Because you never know, right? Like, if it is for you, trust that it will find you.
It's like have faith that the right opportunities will come your way.
Definitely. And I think that leads us into another important part of the book, which is about being comfortable with seasons of being alone and self-care.
Oh, that's such a good one, because so often being alone gets this negative connotation.
Right, like it's seen as a bad thing or a sign that something's wrong with you.
Exactly. But the book flips that on its head. It suggests that maybe right now your journey isn't about love. Maybe right now your journey is about being alone. To learn how to wake up in the middle of the bed, to finally find hope in the vacancy, hope in the quiet. Like, it can be a time for rediscovering yourself.
To reconnect with who you are at your core.
And, it's a chance to realize that you can take care of yourself, that you can depend on the person you have become, that you can be your own home no matter what comes your way.
That you don't need anyone else to complete you.
Which is a pretty powerful realization, right?
Totally. And I love how that ties into redemption and self-forgiveness. It's like once you start to really care for yourself, you can begin to heal those old wounds. The book says it's time to make amends with your heart, to stand up for the vast ways in which it loves and cares and believes in the goodness of vulnerability.
It's about embracing all those parts of yourself that you might have tried to hide or suppress in the past.
Right. And offering yourself that second chance to trust in it and to forgive yourself for giving it away to those who could not value it.
Yeah. That's a big one. Forgiving yourself for past mistakes or forgiving your heart to people who didn't deserve it.
It's not easy.
Mm.
But the book, it really encourages that self-compassion. It's about finding your way back into your soul.
And speaking of your soul, I mean, that leads perfectly into this idea of hope and self-love. It's like once you start forgiving yourself and healing, you can start to open up to the possibility of good things again.
It's like letting the light back in. And the book says, maybe right now your journey is about hope and allowing yourself to believe you deserve good things.
It's so important to remember that you're worthy of happiness and love.
Absolutely. And sometimes that starts by becoming your own savior and safe place. Like the book says, the people who walked away were only ever leading you back to yourself.
It's like sometimes those painful endings, they're actually pushing you in the right direction toward a stronger sense of self.
That's a good way to look at it. And, it reminds us that here, you are okay on your own, rebuilding, adapting, mending, and reclaiming yourself.
You have everything you need within you, and that's the foundation for everything else.
And I think, a lot of what the book is saying comes down to being kind to yourself.
Mm.
Like, be kinder to your soul and give yourself the love you give others. Don't rush your heart or depend on others to fix it. Heal on your own.
Yeah, self-love is the key, isn't it?
Totally. And once you've done some of that healing work, you might start to feel ready for new connections.
Mhm.
And the book has some really good insights on the uniqueness of love. Like, one thing it says is, when ready to love again, don't look for the same kind of love as before. Resist comparing new people to those who left.
It's so tempting to do that, though, right?
It is, but every relationship is different. Like, two loves will never be the same. Love is like a fingerprint,
Huh.
curated between two individual souls, and within that, it is always its own rare and beautiful thing.
It's its own unique experience.
Right. And as we change and grow, so does the kind of love we need. The book says to search for the kind of love you need now, different from what you recognize or what failed.
Be open to something new, something that fits who you are now.
And even though that can be a little scary, it says to trust what comes. It will feel new, somewhat scary, but right.
Have faith that the right things will find their way to you.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember, through all of this, to really acknowledge recognizing your strength and courage.
Oh, yeah. The book is really good at reminding us of that. Like, be proud of the internal battles you've endured just to heal, just to grow, just to make it here today. Be proud of the way you fought to save yourself. Be proud of the way you survived.
Yeah, sometimes just getting through the day takes immense strength and courage.
Right. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for that.
Definitely. And, the book also talks about chasing those things that light you up, those passions that make you feel alive. It says, if something ignites you, chase it without wondering what if years later. Don't let fear or untrue self-perceptions rob you of joy.
Don't let those negative voices in your head hold you back.
Because you deserve to experience those things that make you feel happy and excited. Like, you deserve to experience what is profound and remarkable in the world. Chase what makes your chest tighten with happiness and wonder.
What makes you feel truly alive?
And, the book reminds us that you never know what's waiting beyond your comfort zone and hope.
So take that leap of faith. Put yourself out there.
Okay, so we've talked about letting go and self-love and finding our passions. And I think all of that, it really ties into this idea of the courage to love deeply. Like having the courage to open yourself up to love, even when it feels scary.
Yeah, especially in a world that can feel so cynical and jaded, right? Like the book says, it takes courage to believe genuine connections still exist.
Totally. And to appreciate connection without masks or playing it cool, like just to really be yourself and let your guard down. The book encourages us to crash your heart into those life gifts you. Fight for connection and go deeper beyond the surface.
Yeah, be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to show your true self.
Because in the end, wouldn't you rather leave the world with a heart worn out and soft from loving and caring?
I mean, who wants to live a life closed off from love?
Exactly. And, all of that, it takes work. Like, it takes the courage to heal and forgive. And the book is really honest about this. It says it takes doing the hard work, Befriend your demons. Don't avoid wounds. Choose to heal them.
It's about facing those difficult emotions head on.
And it's not always pretty, right? But it's necessary.
And it takes self-awareness too. Like to really understand yourself deeply, clean out the gritty parts of your soul, forgive yourself for coping mechanisms, nurture your pain, don't disregard it, heal yourself even when it hurts.
It's a process, for sure. And sometimes it's painful. But it's also incredibly empowering.
And then there's this idea of the courage to end things and find closure, which can be just as hard as healing those old wounds.
Yeah, sometimes it's even harder because it means letting go of something you once thought would last forever.
But the book reminds us that it's okay to walk away when something isn't serving you anymore, to know when to end things and see endings as transformative stepping stones.
Like, not every relationship is meant to be forever.
And that's okay. Like sometimes things just run their course and it's more courageous to let go than to hold on.
And to see those endings as opportunities for growth. Like the book says, let love and opportunity flow through you without clinging or trying to change them. See endings as cornerstones of chapters that changed you. Give yourself closure. Be your own home and safe place.
It's about finding that peace and strength within yourself.
And not letting those losses define you. Don't let losses destroy you or convince you of failure. See your effort as a testament to your capacity to feel. Move forward with grace.
It's about recognizing that you're stronger than you think.
And I think that really leads us into the courage to be different. Like having the courage to stand out from the crowd and be your true self.
Yeah, to embrace your individuality. The book says to take risks, lead with your heart, be ruthlessly dedicated to learning and growing. Never let comfort or apprehension keep you still.
It's about pushing past your comfort zone.
And trusting your gut. Like, trust the part of yourself that knows there's more out there. Seeking freedom from dissatisfaction. Go after what genuinely makes you want to get up in the morning.
What are you excited about? What makes you feel passionate and alive?
Yeah, chase after those things. And the book reminds us that fight for a future that inspires you, even if it's not what you expected. Have the courage to change and trust who you're becoming. Listen to the part of yourself that knows there's more out there for you.
There's so much in this book about personal growth and resilience. And one of the things it talks about is the making of kind people.
Oh, I love this part.
It's such a beautiful perspective. It suggests that the kindest people are made, not born, through experiencing life's hardships and turning losses into lessons. Like, it's not about being born with a certain disposition. It's about how you choose to respond to the challenges life throws your way.
Exactly. It's about those conscious decisions to choose to soften where circumstances tried to harden them. They believe in goodness because they've seen why compassion and tenderness are necessary.
And that, I think, is one of the most powerful forms of strength there is.
It really is.
We've talked a lot about self-love and self-worth, and the book has a whole section on deserving love and self-worth.
Because it's so crucial, right, to know that you are worthy of love and respect.
It is. And the book really drives that home. It says, you deserve to be loved the way you love others, to feel seen, to be with someone who doesn't quiet your passions.
You deserve someone who appreciates you for who you are, flaws and all.
Exactly. And someone who's fully present in the relationship. Like, deserve someone who loves all your twists, doesn't judge your past, chooses you fully, and stays.
But as important as it is to find that in another person, it's equally important to find it within yourself. The book says, however, you also deserve to be this person for yourself. Self-reliant, your own foundation.
Oh, yeah. You have to be able to give yourself that love and acceptance first.
Right. And that's where true self-worth comes from. Knowing yourself prevents settling for half-loves and transforms love into something fully appreciated, not born of fear of loss.
Because when you know your own worth, you won't settle for anything less.
And then there's this beautiful line. The bravest thing you will ever do is learn how to love the things that made you.
So powerful. It's about embracing your whole story, the good and the bad.
And recognizing that all those experiences, they shaped you into the person you are today.
Okay, so switching gears a bit. The book also talks about remembering without regret, which is something a lot of us struggle with, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when it comes to past relationships or experiences that ended badly.
Right. It can be so hard to let go and move on. But the book suggests don't try to forget someone beautiful from your past, or sanitize the experience, or cut out the pain.
It's about acknowledging those experiences, even the painful ones.
Yeah, like letting go is hard. Sometimes circumstances force it. But you can still find gratitude for what was. Like, be thankful for the mornings and nights shared, how they opened your heart, challenged and calmed you, and made you believe.
Those moments, they still hold value, even if the relationship didn't last.
Right. And the book encourages us to be thankful they saw you in ways you didn't see yourself and that you risked for love. Walk away with grace and gratitude, knowing you felt something many haven't. Love felt is never wasted. Move on for yourself, carrying the lessons. You are worth saving.
That's a beautiful sentiment.
It is. And, it's a reminder that every experience, even the difficult ones, they teach us something. They help us grow.
And that growth, that's what makes us resilient. And speaking of the beauty of resilience, the book has a lot to say about that too. Like, beautiful how you show up unguarded, willing to try again despite life's challenges. Beautiful how you tuck courage into yourself and remain hopeful despite inner battles. Beautiful how you twist losses into lessons and fight even when weak.
It's about recognizing the strength it takes to keep going, even when things are hard.
And to keep believing in yourself even when you feel like giving up.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's courage in continuing to heal even when it hurts, and bravery in believing in the light even when unseen.
It's a journey, not a destination.
When it comes to relationships, the book makes this really important distinction between real versus perfect love. It says, you won't find perfect love, but you will find real love. Love that sees you, brings down your walls, and accepts your balance of hope and hurt.
It's about embracing imperfections, both in yourself and in your partner.
Yeah. And finding someone who sees the good and the bad and loves you anyway.
It's like love that dives into your depths, asks about your past, and knows you on a profound level, feeling like coming home. That feeling of being truly seen and understood.
That's what it's all about, right?
And the book reminds us that this kind of love, it exists. Like, love that reminds you goodness exists, injects warmth into your soul, learns you, fights for you, and weathers storms with you. Love that is light, not heavy, tender, and reminds you of your worth. Love that makes up for past hurts, shows you were always enough.
It's out there. And it's worth waiting for.
And in the meantime, remember to make your mind a beautiful place to be.
So important. Even when things feel tough, it's so important to hold on to hope. And that's what this next part of the book is about, anticipating goodness.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's like one day, unexpectedly, you'll meet someone soft and gentle with your heart, and you'll be glad you kept it open.
Like, don't close yourself off to the possibility of love, even if you've been hurt before.
Because you deserve to experience that kind of love. And for those times when things haven't worked out, the book offers this really helpful reminder. You were never asking for too much. You were simply just asking the wrong person.
It's like, it wasn't you, it was them.
Exactly. And that leads us into this idea of forgiving yourself for change and growth. Like, sometimes we beat ourselves up for changing our minds or wanting different things than we did in the past. But the book says, forgive yourself for changing, for wanting different things, for stepping away from past goals or people. Change is good. It means you're learning, asking questions, and not settling. You're falling into yourself.
It's about embracing that evolution, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're not meant to stay the same forever.
Right. Don't fear change or get too comfortable. Wish for change. It means you're finding yourself.
And it's also about forgiving yourself for past mistakes, forgiving your heart to those who couldn't value it. Like, forgive yourself for giving your heart to those who couldn't value it. You were meant to learn from them. Don't regret feeling, caring, and hoping.
It's about recognizing that those experiences, they taught you something. They helped you grow.
And sometimes the biggest lessons come from the most painful experiences.
True that. And sometimes those lessons involve setting boundaries and walking away from situations that aren't healthy for you. Like the book says, forgive yourself for staying too long in unhealthy situations. You learn boundaries and what you don't want. Forgive yourself for taking your love back and outgrowing people to protect your energy and choose yourself. You cannot heal others.
You can't pour from an empty cup, right? You have to take care of yourself first.
Exactly. And, sometimes that means making tough choices, even if it means hurting someone else's feelings.
But it's not selfish to prioritize your own well-being.
Not at all. And, the book encourages us to be gentle with ourselves, especially when it comes to past mistakes or regrets. Like, forgive yourself for how you treated yourself in the past. Body, mind, settling for less. Forgive yourself for what you had to do to survive and heal. Be gentle with yourself. You were learning.
We're all works in progress, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And, sometimes it helps to think about things from a bigger perspective. Like the book has this section on the universe and lessons, and it's really thought-provoking.
Oh, yeah, I like this part. It's almost spiritual in a way.
It is. It suggests that maybe the universe brings certain souls together and takes others away to teach lessons beauty cannot. Maybe heartbreak and missed opportunities show your strength.
It's like maybe there's a reason for everything, even if we don't understand it in the moment.
And that those challenges, they can actually make us stronger.
It's about finding the silver lining, even in the darkest of times.
Right. And sometimes gratitude is found in unexpected places. Like the book says, gratitude for what stays is found within losses. Caring for those hard to love teaches you to embrace those who see and protect you. The darkened journey teaches you to appreciate the light.
Yeah, sometimes you don't realize how good you had it until it's gone.
And sometimes going through tough times makes you appreciate the good times even more.
So true. And I think one of the most beautiful things about being human is our capacity for love and connection. And the book really speaks to that, especially in this section on the desire to protect loved ones. It says, we want to nurture and hold loved ones tenderly, accepting their broken pieces, whisper, it's okay to be who you are with me.
Ugh, that's so tender. Like, who wouldn't want to hear that?
Right. It's such a powerful message of love and acceptance.
And speaking of feeling seen and accepted, there's this other part about the quiet understanding of being seen.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It says, in the quiet understanding with someone who truly sees you, something deep is affirmed. Maybe it's okay to believe you can be loved there. Give yourself permission to let go of what weighs on your soul.
It's that feeling of being completely understood without even having to say anything.
Yeah, like someone just gets you. And
Right.
it's such a relief, to be able to let your guard down and be your true self.
Totally.
Mhm.
And, for those of you out there who are going through heartache, who are maybe experiencing unrequited love, the book has some really helpful advice on navigating unrequited love.
Yeah.
It starts by reminding us that loving someone who can't love you back isn't a reflection of your worth. People are figuring themselves out, mending and dealing with their own burdens. Sometimes you're ready and the other person isn't. It's okay.
It's not your fault if someone can't love you the way you need to be loved.
Right. Like sometimes people just aren't in the right place to receive love, even if they might want to.
And it's important not to keep chasing after someone who's not giving you what you need. Like the book says, don't keep asking someone to meet you where they aren't. Aching for unready people is self-destruction. Don't shrink your heart. You can't love someone into their potential or readiness.
Oh, yeah, that's hard to hear, but it's so true.
It is. But sometimes walking away is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. Walking away allows you to pour love back into yourself, your growth, art, and hope. Stand up for your feelings and their value. Open yourself to love that chooses you freely. Attraction lies in certainty and conviction, not games.
You deserve someone who's excited to be with you,
Right.
who chooses you wholeheartedly.
Absolutely. And sometimes walking away from a relationship, it forces you to evolve and grow in ways you never thought possible. Like the book says, maybe you'll never be the person you used to be, and that's okay. Celebrate who you are now, shaped by heartbreak and hardship. Trust the lessons and the ways the world has asked you to grow. Stop looking backward. Like a snake molting, life forces you to shed old versions of yourself. Honor your evolution.
We're constantly changing and growing, even if we don't realize it.
And it's so important not to settle for less than you deserve, especially when it comes to love.
Oh, yeah. The book talks about the danger of settling for almost.
Right. Like settling for almost happy, valued, chosen means the connection lacks the depth your soul craves. You deserve certainty, to be someone's favorite thing, effort, excitement, commitment, and someone on the same page. You deserve someone unafraid of your heart.
You deserve to be with someone who celebrates you for who you are, who makes you feel safe and loved and cherished.
And who's not afraid to dive